So we've been talking, and we've been wanting to talk about the Chrystul Kizer deal, and this is going to be a major deal coming up. And I think it's probably summertime, maybe. It kind of depends when they settle that whole thing with the appeals process. But there's going to be a lot of focus on this because the people are going to be wanting Chrystul Kizer. Well, let's put it this way: if Chrystul Kizer is convicted, the pressure is going to be on to convict Kyle Rittenhouse in a real serious way.
Yeah, and
so I think first of all, let's go ahead and kind of appraise everybody to what this is all about, and the whole Chrystul Kizer deal. But no, she's a young black female that was. No, she's been accused of murdering an older man who she claims was sex trafficking her, which I think that is probably a good possibility. In fact, I would say that's probably likely that was happening. And she's claiming self-defense. And guess what? She lives in Kenosha. She is same age as Kyle. The similarities are amazing between the two.
100%. I just want to quickly state for the viewers, we will have here and there probably jump each other into speech because there's a delay between us, quite massive one. So that's one. And second, to the Miss Kizer's case. Oh boy, I must say, after I looked into it quite a while, quite a lot, I must say I'm afraid that purely legally speaking, she will be found guilty. But when it comes to morality, there's so much to talk about. And as you said, with the person that his name was what was his name?
Randall Volar.
Yeah, Mr. Volar.
Yeah.
Yeah, like honestly, I think he's one of the monsters of the world. What they found on him.
He doesn't come off looking too good, does he?
No, whatsoever. And just what the police officers were able to get from his computers and stuff like that is just sick. So yeah, there's more than a possibility that she was to some degree trafficked.
Well, there's a lot of the thing about him not basically going after Randall Volar earlier is what allowed this thing to happen in the first place.
Yeah,
that's insane. So he gets arrested for all kinds of porn and rape charges. I mean, a ton of them, and it looks like there was an absolute ton of evidence against him. Yeah, and yet nothing was done. And according to the district attorney, Michael Gravely, gee, I wonder where we've heard that one before. He's the one in charge of prosecuting Kyle Rittenhouse. But according to him, well, they were going to arrest him probably that day or maybe the next day. They were going to. Well, okay. It's unfortunate for you that you didn't arrest him maybe a day before. But I mean, the idea behind letting him go after all of those charges were so, I mean, extremely serious, letting him back out into the community, it boggles the mind. And it makes you kind of wonder where DA Gravely comes from. I don't quite understand his thinking. Now, his claim is that he didn't get the information right away. That's true, but he certainly had plenty of opportunity to go after Volar, didn't do it.
Yeah. As you said, like letting him go into the community, I just, the optics that must have, like it done, because what they will probably be playing quite a lot against Miss Kizer, sorry, were those texts that she exchanged with her friends, where one of them said, yeah, I Googled it, you need to be careful, it's gonna splash around or something like that. And I have honestly a suspicion that there's a strong possibility it could have been kind of the mentality. Well, the police arrested him. That was 30 days ago. They let him go with all that evidence. That was the 15-year-old that was alleging that he tried to kill her. And I think there's a strong possibility that they cannot decided to take justice in their own hands.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't give her much faith that, you know, in the justice system.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just the, and I don't want to mislead the audience. It wasn't just the computers and all that stuff. They had a witness, a person who was a victim, or at least an alleged victim, who claimed that he basically raped her. And she's there. She's like 15 years old. And she's, as far as I could tell, was certainly willing to testify, certainly testified to the police. You can't go on that. You got the all of that digital evidence plus eyewitness testimony, and you can't charge him at that point. I just don't get. I mean, what more evidence were they trying to wait on to accumulate?
Yeah,
I mean, you could certainly arrest him. I mean, and you know what, you could take, I mean, there's no possible way that if they had arrested him, that they would haul him in front of a judge. The judge would at least set a bail on him. You know, I mean, and at that point, okay, he's free, but there are certain stringent requirements and stuff like that. Yeah. They certainly had enough evidence to do that. And for them to just ignore it, it's crazy. I don't get it.
Yeah, it boggles the mind, honestly. Maybe there was somebody, you know, stepped on his citizens' rights and stuff like that, you know, basic human rights, police officer somehow, and they for that reason needed to let him go. But even still, that would be a massive mistake, to say the least. And
yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I flat don't get it. And you always put yourself in that guy's shoes. Think, if I had been accused of something like that, where would I be? I'd be in jail, right? I don't know how Volar got away with this. Now, there are some people, of course, who were saying that Volar must have had something on the DA. I don't see any evidence of that, but I don't get it.
That's a conspiracy theory, you know, territory and stuff like that.
But you also see now the pressure on Gravely to push this, because, you know, he's already in enough trouble over this whole handling of Randall Volar, and now he's got Chrystul Kizer in front of him, and he can't drop the ball on this.
Well, and he's also in trouble, not necessarily you know, like deservingly so, but for letting the police officer that shot Jacob Blake, you know, 7 times in the back, basically not charging him, where to a degree, I agree with that from the most part. Still, the community feels very differently about it, so that definitely puts pressure on him too.
Oh yeah. Now the state did come back and basically didn't give him much ammunition to really go after the police officer, but he could still have done it. But I mean, he kind of looked at it and realized that if the state's examination doesn't support a conviction of any sort here, and it didn't. In one of my videos, I went through exactly what the charges were and what the law says, and yeah, that police officer was not going to get convicted. Well, I take that back. That police officer could have been convicted. It wouldn't have been a lawful conviction, and probably would have been overturned on appeal or whatever. My faith in the justice system has really waned, you know, over the last year or 2 years. So, but according at least to the strict reading of the law and what took place, the police officers should not have been in too much trouble. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, I mean, you know, that's one thing, but what the law says in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin has very loose self-defense laws. Yeah, that's one thing that a lot of people are having a hard time coming up to grips with, because they come out of New York, they come out of California, and you know, and they're thinking, well, there's no way, that can't be self-defense. But each state's laws differ, and Wisconsin has very liberal, not in the normal political sense of the word, self-defense laws.
Yeah, definitely. And I must say there will be also the optics of this whole thing. you need to look at every case, basically each one of these cases objectively and without any bias and stuff like that. That's very important. But plenty of people simply are not capable of doing that. And so the optics right now are that Mr. Volar was white. He was accused of, well, sexually abusing black people, black girls and stuff like that, while he was let go. A black girl, killed him. She claims self-defense, while she's prosecuted quite a lot. And I must say that how she was held in without a trial for 2 years in jail and stuff like that, that's really something. Then you have on top of that the not prosecution of a white police officer that shot a black man, Jacob Blake, and then you have also Kyle Rittenhouse in that. That's as I said, it's very important to look at it everything objectively, but people that are simply not capable of doing that and they see color only, basically, for them that's very volatile situation.
And it really shows up with the Chrystul Kizer case, because with Jacob Blake, you could say, okay, I could see race being an issue here. Okay. Even with Kyle, even though Kyle shot a bunch of white people, you could at least say, I could see there being a racial issue here because it was a BLM protest. But of what possible importance is it to insert into the narrative that Randall Volar was white? Why would that even matter? But yet, if you read all of the articles on it, it says Randall Volar, a white man. Well, how is that even a factor here? But it is, and they've made it one. And so, it's the race thing is going to be a big part of it, and the optics. It's all about the optics.
Yeah, definitely. Well, with Mr. Volar and the race, I must say that they could have a wee bit of a argument there that he was let go basically for 30 days. He was with all that evidence against him. I don't think that was the case, but well, ultimately I don't know. So yeah, maybe he had some kind of somebody or something somewhere. It's possible. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It needs a thorough investigation into that, definitely.
Well, I think the big problem we're going to have, that we've been having, and as people are just going to conflate these different cases and try to make them as if they're all the same with different outcomes. And
yeah,
and this is going to be a big problem with Chrystul Kizer versus Kyle Rittenhouse, because on the surface of it, they're the same age, self-defense, using a gun.
Yeah, perceived legality of the weapon.
And their people are going to basically say they're identical in every way, except Chrystul is black and Kyle is white, and it completely ignoring the fact that there are a lot of other issues here that come into play. And the hypocrisy is going to be impressive, because the very same people who claim, well, Kyle can't claim self-defense because it was an illegal weapon, are now going to be turning around with Chrystul Kizer saying, well, she had to have that gun. Oh, she had to have that gun because that's what helped her. That's what saved her life. Well, okay. And I agree. I mean, the fact that Chrystul possessed that gun illegally is not a problem for me. Now she could be tried for that law breaking. Okay, she needs to pay the price for that. But in terms of her using the gun to defend herself, if it's truly self-defense, it's truly self-defense.
Yeah.
But they're not going to see it that way, and they're going to make a claim that she really needed that gun. Thank God she had it, and why isn't everybody supporting her Second Amendment rights? And then with Kyle, it will be, well, he had the gun illegally. I mean, you can't defend yourself. You can't defend yourself with an illegal gun, which is an absurd statement, and I've proved and I've shown that in my videos that is simply not the case. So you absolutely can. Now, whether Kyle will be tried for the minor possession and convicted of that, that's a minor issue. But there's part of your hypocrisy that's going to show up here in this whole Chrystul Kizer thing, is the gun. And that's an issue, because we don't even know how she got the gun.